Introduction. Diaries of Dead Thought. Sandy beaches and bad intentions. What follows is a true story. It took place to me 4 years ago in a cold, lonely jail cell. It's not the kind of thing you expected to happen or knew you had in you. But that's how these things go when something's given to you. So I'm going to give it to you. My Diaries of Dead Thought. Diaries of Dead Thought. Sandy beaches and bad intentions. Written and narrated by Kyle Lowe. Chapter 1. My story begins as I lay my head down to sleep. On a bed, cold steel, a bed of my own making, set by Deaches County Jail, because of my own arrogance to drink and drive. Anyway, our story begins not with me falling asleep, but so much waking up. Waking up and realizing that there's more to everything around me than what I've been told. The belief system I was raised on, the Bible, religious, it's all true. It really did happen. But just not quite the story we were told. I was shown the other part. I was made to be part of it. Since the day it started, even child, when I was 4, I wrote a letter to God, and I asked, arrogantly, for powers, superpowers, to be given to me in the form of 3 objects that would allow me to overcome any adversary, any problem that rose would instantly be solved. Everything would be handed me for the rest of my life. In my arrogancy, I asked for this. Little did I know that God didn't get the letter, the devil did. So we're going to start with him, because that's the story that I began when I was a child. In the infinity of things. Before the fall. Before mankind's story even began, I played a part. My dream begins huddled in a corner. Stone pillars, dusty drapes, the smell of a burnt-out fire. You can almost hear the faint echoes of children's laughter that used to take place here. But now, the dark halls and empty hallways only cry out the pain of the owner that now sits in an empty house filled with servants and soldiers. No family, no loved ones. He had that at one point. He knew true happiness. He had no reason to feel spiteful for his Lord and Savior that brought him everything he had. He was a king amongst men. And his arrogancy his self-righteousness, his love for himself above everyone else around him, has darkened his heart. And before me laid a man, huddled in front of the fire, hardened, as if he's been stuck there so long the fire had touched him. I felt petrified to stand there before him, like a child. I hear footsteps coming. There's a man, and he says, "Lucifer, I know you don't want to hear this, but this has just come in, a book. God has plans for all of us, and here it is. It's a Bible." He gives it to Lucifer, and after some time of thumbing through this, he realizes that his destiny has already been set by a man that is going to cast him down before he has a chance to defend himself, and a drunken rage comes over him, a spiteful rage, one that replaces the sense of fear I have with a sense of urgent, life-threatening doom that comes over me in a sense that I cannot even move, petrified in place. I see that the rage that's growing inside of him is turning him into a serpent. Something so hideous. What before were features of someone, gorgeous hair, strong shoulders, big cheekbone muscles, were starting to become rigid, unable to feel, unable to desire to feel. And in his hand he held a letter. And for some reason I knew that that was my letter. And I knew that since I had wrote that, it wasn't right to even ask for such things, because I'm here on this earth to experience something and have a choice, not to make that choice for everyone else around me, change the course of what's been set. I have a destiny. It can be for good or bad, but I should not be able to rise above it all. That's why I'm here on this earth, is to choose to fight, to become strong, so that one day I can stand in front of the Lord and actually stand with Him, knowing that I belonged not as the man I see before me, which was brought into this world by a loving Father that gave everyone a choice without consequence. An immortal being becomes arrogant over time. So, armed with his Bible and my letter, I see him reach out his hand, and in his hand he's holding 3 objects, and I know that they have been set forth by me. I know what they're capable of. And he looks at them and says, if this is the future set forth for me, then I am going to send a curveball. Whoever holds these three objects, when the three objects are united, they will fuel the desire to undo God's work in His infinity. An uninsatiable desire to undo it all will overcome you until you succeed. Now, I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't want to. I just wanted this to end. I felt like I was being attacked by wolves tearing me apart and I couldn't move. And by the time it was over, I opened my eyes and I was in a brighter place. I was in a similar castle courtyard area, much more lightly lit. The sound of children laughing, people coming and going, but also the sound of grinding, the sound of beating steel, the sound of commotion, the sound of an army being raised. And there sat a man in a similar chair, cloaked in white, quite opposite to what I had just experienced. And with a loving blue, not saying it's my dad right there, awesome, felt better now. But I felt ashamed, because I knew now that I'm partially responsible for what is going to happen. I don't know I'm filled with a sense of curiosity, intrigue. Is this real? Are these objects actually out there? These three objects that I thought about my whole life, that I wrote this letter to God, but if these objects were floating around in the hands of someone who meant wrong against fellow man, I sat quiet. I felt now that I was actually connected with the ground. I could breathe. I felt actually there. Like a deja vu feeling. Like I'd been there and I'm going to be there again. And it filled me with such love and a warmth. One that quickly filled in that cold, dark feeling that had come over me so quickly before. And a sense of deja vu came over me as I heard the sound of clattering feet. Lord, 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 I have news. Lucifer has received what the humans has made a Bible in the year 2015. He has somehow seen this, and he's readying his armies. That's not it, though. We were ready for this. He sent three objects to undo what you've done. It's too late, Lord. I don't know what felt like I was waking up. I hit the ground. I awake to a cold splash in my face. I don't even want to open my eyes, not wanting to deal with the reality of the situation around me. I can smell the concrete. I can hear the people. I don't open my eyes. I know I'm going to have to wake up and deal with the fact that I was drinking and driving last night, and now I'm going to have to find a ride home. I probably just lost my job. Actually did lose my wife and my job for a while. But that's another story. But when I woke up, I wasn't in a cell. I was in the courtyard still. And everything just became a lot more real. A warm hand gripped my hand and said, "Are you alright, Kyle?" And I said, "Yes, where am I?" And he said, "You know where you are. Don't worry, Kyle. Me and my infinity. Such a thing is a feat to be witnessed, and I will overcome. And in the end, you will help me. Don't worry, Kyle. Sit up. Sit down. Have a drink of water." I sit up and do the best to gain my composure. I feel as if maybe I've died. I mean, am I in heaven? Yeah, apparently, but okay, that means I'm dead. Did I die? Did they serve me some bad jail food? I am filled with so much confusion and fear, and the strange thing is, when I look at him, those things disappear. Because with him, I can see myself in his eyes in some amazing sense. Some beginning and end that I knew is right. So, I sit down, and he proceeds to explain to me that yes, I did get your letter as a child, son, but many people ask for such things, but to set that forth on the earth would undo what I'm trying to do. I want my people to be humble and strong servants that choose to follow, not required. But we can fix this. There has to be a balance. So I'm going to send 2 angels. One good and one bad. To keep the balance. Evil will have to serve the evil user across history. Whoever takes up these objects will have the archangel. And I'm also sending a good angel. They are both so evenly matched. Their goal is to separate the objects. Evil must protect the user of the objects, and it's the job of good to separate the objects from the user and hide them in the three corners of the earth in specific locations until you can set this right. I sat there, dumbfounded. Like, so I'm dreaming? No. Yeah, you are, Kyle. But more of a vision. Things have taken place that you need to know. I want you to see the last user. It's where your story will pick up. So I'm going to leave you now, Kyle. Follow a righteous path and I'll see you again. I love you, son. My breath rose up in me. I wanted to say goodbye, and instantly it disappeared. Oh my. Okay. I stand in the dark, waiting for a transition. I'm asleep. This dream. The light. My eyes open to a third-party perspective. I feel as if I'm witnessing a movie. I pan around. I feel like a ghost, watching some events take place. I find myself in the middle of the ocean, cruising through the clouds, following a breeze, just soaring as an eagle. Amazing, looking down. I see in front of me a flick of what appears to be a ribbon with a lock of hair. So gorgeous and elegant, blowing in the wind. I appear to be following it. This continues for some time until I see there's an island in the future. And then sometime, in a bit of misfortune, I see that the wind has not quite successfully carried us straight there. So with an instant and a flash, I see the ribbon take a larger form. The lock of hair becomes larger, and in some gorgeous flash of light, the most gorgeous blonde I have ever seen in my life appears from thin air in front of me, performing a perfect swan dive out of thin air from 1,000 feet, cascading down, 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 we fall. We're picking up some serious speed now as she approaches the water. And with a snap of an instant, she turns back to the ghostly image of a ribbon and a lock of hair before she touches down at the water and a form of a person appears again. With a splash and exhale, she jumps, splashes from the water, swimming as I see her start swimming. An hour later, she makes it to the shore. It appears that she miscalculated the winds, but as a ghostly spirit appearing to float through the wind, that's one of the most spectacular things I had ever witnessed in my life. doubled by this strange beach. Almost like a plastic beach, like so fake and beautiful. A short beach. If you ran around the circumference of the island, you could probably get it done in a half hour, just to scale. In front of her lies 20 or 30 feet, say, of gorgeous beach. A dock. And cascading above her, like some disgusting, fake rock mountain lays ahead of her. Now I'm saying gross, looking like man-made. She gives it a tap. Wow, that sounds nice. A steel beam lays in front of her. Appears to be a pillar. Cascading 100 feet. She sees the top of a deck. On the pillar it says, in a golden inscription, laden in black, anted, written, "My enemy shall not pass," has been inscribed on every rock, pillar, everything except for the sand appears to have been enchanted. She gives it a tap again, and she cannot affect this. She pulls out a small cylinder tube, which is white, which appeared in her hand. In amazement, in a flash, a sword of light appeared, nearly nicking me. With a flash and a buzz, and a grinding of sparks, she attempts to defeat the pillar, which apparently is undoable. So, she begins her climb up the pillar.
End chapter 1.